Hello, this is WellArmedWithTacos, and welcome back to Stories from Sector 10, the Warhammer podcast. I was going to say Warhammer 40k podcast, that's technically what it is, but even though there's supposed to be some fantasy in here, I don't get many fantasy games in. I'm letting you guys know right now, if you've been appreciating the pictures, thank you. And this video podcast audio thing is going to have probably less pictures than the last two, or if it has more pictures, they're going to make a little less coherent sense. Notice that I've been trying to do almost like a slideshow thing with the pictures, showing the initial deployments and then the movement phases, and then what happened. Then what happens based off the various other phases that go on. I played this game yesterday, and it was a very frustrating game, and unfortunately, because of that frustration, I was not taking pictures as diligently as I should have been, and yeah, it's probably going to reflect here, but the pictures aren't supposed to be the main draw anyways. It's supposed to be my audio, so let's try to get the audio part at least right, shall we? I played this game yesterday. It would have been 4-7. I played against the new Dark Eldar Codex, or as it's called, Drukhari, I think now. I still call it Dark Eldar, because when I was playing, it was called Dark Eldar. Back in my day, I played my Necron Codex, because I wanted to give my Necron Codex a try against what I thought was going to be a more Horde-ish army. In the past, Dark Eldar were not a Horde army, but they were a little more Horde-ish than some of the other armies. Things like Cavalite Warriors were very cheap. What I didn't know until I learned yesterday from finding the new codex, the new Dark Eldar Codex has received vast point drops pretty much across the board on everything. So, like it or not now, the Dark Eldar Codex is now a Horde army. It is a Horde army now. The player I was playing against has owned and sold Dark Eldar probably like 3 times now. He's the same one that I discussed about last week, or last video at least. He has owned and sold Dark Eldar many times, so he's very familiar with the army. He just rebought them again to play them with the new codex. He spent just under $700 on buying new models and couldn't even field 75 PowerPoints. Dark Eldar are a Horde army now. That's just the blunt truth of things. So I definitely got to field my Necrons against a Horde army, and it went about as well as I thought it was going to. Let me try to go over what I brought, and then we can go into the game turns. To begin with, we rolled to see what mission we would be playing. We got Maelstrom, and we got Cloak and Shadows, which is basically regular mission, but you keep your objectives secret. I don't mind it. I actually don't mind Cloak and Shadows that much. However, this is my first time playing Cloak and Shadows in 8th edition, and this is the first time I've noticed the new rule with Cloak and Shadows. Cloak and Shadows now has a rule where if you're outside of 18 inches of your opponent, when you shoot them, you are at a -1 to your ballistic skill. This had very little effect during the course of our game because he moves very quickly and he wanted to be within range of his rapid fire guns, which puts him at range 12. If he's within range 12, he's obviously within range 18, and then I'm obviously within range 12 of him. So it basically it came up, I think, once. I think one time it actually came up. No, actually, I don't think it ever came up at all. No, it never came up for him. It came up once for me. But I can easily imagine that being extremely crippling to some other armies. And if I was playing my Tau, I would outright say, if we're removing Cloak and Shadows from an option, because I wouldn't play that with Tau. I have to be able to use my long range weapons to take you out, and I have to be able to go forward to do it. So I wouldn't play that with Tau. That's another one of those rules that cripples some armies and completely doesn't affect others. You say -1 to hit with Tau, you completely ruin the army. And meanwhile, you're fighting orcs, and they go, oh, -1 to shoot? Ha! It's cute. They don't care. They're orcs. So, moving on. We got Cloak and Shadows. We picked standard deployment, standard Dawn of War, just because it really is just the easiest one, the most efficient to play. I brought a named character to this game. I brought Anakir the Traveler. He gave me a lot of crap for it, for bringing a named character, but he still won. Spoilers, he won. So he really could just put a sock in it. I brought Anakin the Traveler. I brought a unit of Lich Guard, 5 of them, with size, to go with him. I figured I wouldn't need the shields. He's not shooting a lot of AP weapon, he's shooting a lot of poison weapon. I didn't need the shields. That investment sort of paid off. The Lich Guard didn't pay for themselves, but had they had the shields, it wouldn't have made a difference. 2 units of warriors, both 10, and a Lich Guard unit in 10, just to meet my minimal 3 troops, so that I could field the battalion detachment. I brought a Cryptek. I brought a unit of spiders, 9 of them, or not spiders, scarabs. 9 spiders. Jeez, that'd be a lot of points. I brought 9 scarabs. I brought 3 race, and my 3 tomb blades. I brought a lord, and I brought 9 or 10 flayed ones. I put the flayed ones in reserve and walked everything else onto the table. I had Anakir with 1 group of warriors. I had the Cryptek with my immortals, and I had the Lord with the other group of warriors. I'm scrolling through my own pictures here, pardon me. It was, I think, 3 Venoms. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. No, I think it was 3. No, 4 Venoms. 4 Venoms and 3 Raiders. Yes, 4 Venoms and 3 Raiders. Each of the Venoms had a unit of witches inside of them, and each of the Raiders had a unit of Cabalite warriors inside of them, with the exception of one of the Raiders, or one of the Venoms, that had his 3 HQ choices all in the one boat. That is what he brought. He brought a lot compared to me, because his army is significantly cheaper than mine. Into the turns. I beat him on initiative, even with his +1, because he rolled a 1. All I had to do was beat a 2, and I did. I ended up going first. He did not steal initiative, so I did end up going first. I move my scarabs forward. I move my tomb blades forward. My 2 units of warriors do not move. My immortals do not move. And I think that's actually it for my turn 1. I take shots with my tomb blades into one of his vehicles, completely whiff, not a single hit, or at the very least not a single wound. I do nothing. And that's it for my shots, because he's past 24 range of all my guns, and my dynasty I took was aggressively territorial, so I didn't want to move. Plus, if I was trying to move forward to his boats, it didn't matter. They were going to come to me anyways. I knew that. My race also moved forward as well. I should also mention at this point, one of the 3 tactical objectives cards I drew was Harness the Warp, which basically means manifest a psychic power. I am Necrons. I don't have a single psyker in my army. I cannot manifest a psychic power. The card is immediately useless to me. I cannot discard it unless I want to spend 2 of my control points to do it, of which I only have 6. So I decide that's way not worth it, and I am unfortunately forced to keep that card to the rest of the game, and it will show. I only scored 1 card during the entire game, and I did that turn 1 with area control. That was it. Meanwhile, he was scoring every turn. He tabled me, but had I not been tabled, he would have won in points anyways, by a long margin. His entire army moves forward. He only kills 2.5 things. Because my tomb blades move forward, my scarabs move forward, and my race move forward, he makes sure those are the things that have to go first. He kills the tomb blades immediately. They are not a threat to him. Then he spends basically the vast majority of his army shooting at my race. So my race soak up basically his entire turn 1 firepower, which is good, but they die in the process. No survivors. And then he takes some shots at the scarabs. Doesn't kill them, but he kills 1 or 2 bases. I think he actually even kills 1 base. But they were his last target. He put most of his firepower turn 1 into my race. My turn 1 happens. I have 1 unit of warriors, I believe don't shoot. The other unit of warriors just takes some casual shots at one of his boats, does some minimal damage. My Tesla carbines on my immortals. I target his venom with his HQs inside of it and immediately destroy it. It's just gone. He gets the first taste of what my Tesla is capable of, and from that point forward, he decides my Tesla has to go, which is a fair thing to say. So he completely destroys my Tomb Blades, he destroys my race, takes a couple of Scarabs out. I take out his Venom, the one with the dudes inside of it. My Scarabs move forward, ready to charge, and that's basically what happens during my turn 1. My Scarabs do move forward into one of the Venoms. I use my self-destruct stratagem, and in addition to my attacks, I just barely kill it. I pop the witches out who back up and leave combat, even though I consolidate back into them. And I think that was my entire turn 2. His turn 2. I'm sorry if I'm going way out of order here. I'm trying to remember details as I go. His turn 2. The Raider and the witches I had locked in close combat with the Scarabs leave combat so that they can shoot me, and do. His HQs that I had popped out of his Venom move forward to assault the Scarabs, and do. He keeps a Venom nearby to shoot them. I have a unit of warriors that takes some shots at one of his Raiders. Or no, I'm sorry, I take shots at his Venom. I don't pop it. And my other unit of warriors takes some more shots, and my Teslas take shots at one of his Raiders. And I don't pop anything this turn. I don't kill anything. I just do some damage. His next turn, one of his Venoms and his Raiders, and he also had his unit of bikes. I'm sorry, I forgot some of his stuff. He also had a 10-man unit of Hellions who deep striked it in, and a unit of bikes who deep striked in. 3 of them. With the combination of his bikes, his Hellions, or his bikes, one of his Raiders, and one of his Venoms, he completely kills the 10 warriors. Just gone. So no reanimation protocols on them. It was a full unit, just died in 1 turn. Then all of a sudden I have my one Lord who's just alone on that side of the table. His Hellions come in, and his Hellions shoot at my Teslas and don't end up doing very much. Unfortunately, I end up just kind of killing his Hellions with ease. I'm sorry I'm getting a little off track here. It's hard to remember the details of this game because it was really just this whole game was I kill one thing, he kills 2 things. That's kind of what it was like, and he had more dudes than me to begin with. I really couldn't fight him off. In fact, I'm just gonna go ahead and move this video forward to get to the ending. I will go over some things. My Scarabs eventually got killed by his Archon. My Flayed Ones came in to try to kill the Archon, and they take out his Shadow Loom, but the combination of the Archon and the witches nearby eventually kill my Flayed Ones. He kills my Immortals with 3 of his Raiders. I pop another one of his Raiders with Anarchy of the Travelers, Mind in the Machine, using his own boat. By the time I called the game, it was top of turn 6, my turn. We did roll. The game would have kept going. I had my Cryptek and a unit of Warriors. That was the only thing I had left on the table by the time he had 2 Raiders. No, I'm sorry. He had 1 Raider, 2 units of Cabalite Warriors outside of the boats. He had the 2 units of Witches. He had all 3 of his HQs. He had his 3 bikes, and I think he had 1 or 2 Venoms left. I was just completely surrounded and outgunned, and I just called it. I don't want to say right off the bat Dark Eldar are overpowered. I think they're a little too cheap, but I was able to kill a good 60% chunk of his army before I was effectively tabled, so it wasn't the worst game I've had. And this particular player was always enjoyable to play against, so it didn't even hurt that bad. But it definitely felt like, even after turn 1, like right at the start of turn 2, it definitely felt like there was nothing I could do to turn this. Like it was always on the brink, where maybe I could turn it, but I never felt like I could actually turn it. Like I was trying to push a gyro off the face of a cliff. Like, it's right there. It's that close. I can see it. But of course, pushing a gyro is very, very difficult. And I couldn't do it. Um, so it felt close, but not close. It was a very weird game. But I definitely need to play more against the Dark Eldar, and I might have a chance to. But I need to play more against the Dark Eldar to determine how bad they are. I apologize, I wasn't able to go over the battle properly this video. But I did take some pictures, and I will be putting the pictures in, so hopefully the pictures can show you kind of what was going on. I have pictures of hopefully most of the important stuff. So, thank you for listening. And I'll see you guys next story. I have my new Seraphon models currently being constructed and painted, and there are people who are looking to play Age of Sigmar who say they're going to bring stuff, just haven't brought stuff yet, but I'll keep sure to bring mine. So there might be some fantasy going on soon. There probably will be more 40k in the week or the week after. There is a new game store opening. It is owned by the same people who own the current game store. They're just moving to a bigger space, and in the bigger space there will be more tables, so the opportunity to play games will increase. Right now we only have one table, so it's hard to play.